Hello, all. This is Austin Todd, Summer Sun, and me and my mom are hosting an episode of Summer Todd's Creepy Corner tonight called Ghosts of Christmas, where we're going to tell spooky stories from the holiday season.
Okay. We're ready. Yeah, it could be like around Thanksgiving or any time, really, but
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, just all the holidays in that general season put together.
a lot of people seem to have things happen. Maybe it's because they're home and they're more in touch with things. I don't know. During the holidays. So, yeah. I'm trying to think what we're going to kick off with, Austin. The story I sent you was about, it really wasn't about a holiday, but this man's daughter died. He didn't say how, but she wasn't, I don't think she was very old. And they always went out on the boat together, and he cleaned the boat after she died and got everything really organized. And it was spotless, he said, kind of just trying to deal with his grief. And then a couple weeks later, he went back on the boat, and there was a playing card on the deck or on the floor of the boat. And he was like, well, I don't know how that got there because, I cleaned the boat so much. And he turned it over, and it was a 4 of hearts. Well, his daughter always liked the number 4. And so he just felt like it was a sign from her. And he was talking about how people leave signs, and he knows it was a sign from her. And but then he got to thinking about it. They did have playing cards on the boat, and he thought, well, somehow or other, it probably got out of the deck that they have on the boat. So he had some friends on the boat a couple weeks later, and he told one of his friends, he said, you guys play cards, but there's going to be a 4 of hearts missing. He said, because I found this card, oddly. He told him this story. They thought it was kind of weird. They went down to play cards, and he was getting some drinks or something, and his friend came up, and he said, there's not a 4 hearts missing from the deck. He said, so I don't know where that card came from. So he just thinks it had to be a sign from his daughter. So, yeah, because he said there's not been another deck of cards on there or anything. So
how could he have found that?
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. Yeah. So it was a cool little story. He told it pretty well too, So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool story.
How they leave signs. I don't know. Well, I know, I was thinking about that story when I was coming home after your dad passed away and stuff. Well, I moved here, and I was driving across the bridge one night. And I always use my time in the car when I go to work or come home just to kind of decompress and think about things. So I was kind of depressed that night. But as I was coming across the bridge, I was following this real fancy sports car. And it said Arcoy SR. And, your grandpa's name was Robert Coy Sr. because, he and my brother's a junior. So it was weird. I took a picture of it and sent it to my brother, and he was like, that is weird.
I remember when you sent me that picture, I was like, yeah, that's gotta be a sign for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't from your dad, though. It was from my dad. But, I think my dad does that. I think when I'm feeling really bad, sometimes he comes around. I don't know, because we were pretty close. Like Chantel and I went to that lantern lighting thing in that Springboro Cemetery where you make your lantern. We were casting them all out and stuff, and we were thinking about Sam, my nephew, and we had mentioned him on one of the cards, and then Chantel, one of the babies she lost, and then your dad, and the guy was on the microphone just kind of calling off the names and stuff, and he said, and this one is for Chatty Cathy. We all, her family loved her or something. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Because that's a doll back in the 70s. And Roger might remember this. I think it was 70s or maybe even 60s. But no, maybe 70s. But my dad would always make fun of my Sam's mom because she's so quiet. She was quiet back then. And he'd call her Chatty Cathy. And it was always in reference to that doll. He'd see the commercial and he'd laugh at it and say, there's old Chatty Cathy. And I told Chantel, I said, that is odd. I mean, that is just too odd. I just feel like he was around trying to act like, say he was around. Because his sense of humor was kind of funny.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
So, I mean, well, Kathy's a pretty, common name. I said, but Chatty Cathy's a doll, Chantel. I said, that's what he's talking about. Something to do with that.
Chatty Cathy's more off the beaten path.
Yeah, and it is. And my dad would always, and they had a commercial about it. It's kind of like one of those, like the Cabbage Patch dolls were back in, it was a famous doll there for a little bit. I was like, that was so weird. So I feel like he comes around more than your dad. There's been a few things with your dad, but yeah. So
I think it's possible they may come around on holidays and stuff to be around their family members after they pass on too. And that might be why more people have experiences around this time of year or whatever, and they feel the presence of loved ones that have passed on.
I think we're down at that, we did the lantern thing was around Labor Day. It was hot. It was still hot, but it might have been Labor Day weekend. Yeah. So that was kind of weird. But and so, like, when we took pictures, tell them about the angel that your dad put up in your house.
Yeah, the picture, my wife went outside and she took a picture from the bay window of the Christmas tree we put up. And that angel that my dad hung up in the dining room when me and my wife moved in, it's still hanging up there. And it was in the picture as like a silhouette. And the shadow of it was kind of behind it. And I thought that was a really cool picture. It's actually in the intro that Roger's going to use for this show. Towards the end, the picture is. It's the Christmas tree with the red topper on it in our bay window.
Yeah.
And it was.
We're gone. What's weird? You guys, I remember your dad wasn't feeling well because that was only a couple weeks before he passed away, wasn't it? Not too long. Month.
About a month and a half, yeah. But a week or two before he really started feeling sick.
Yeah, and so he kind of like, you guys were trying to get the U-Haul back, and we were putting stuff up real quick, and he just kind of walked over there, and there was that thing to hang it on, and he put it up there. So you guys have never really moved it. Because after he passed away so quickly, and it kind of feels wrong to do anything with it.
It feels wrong to move it now. Same with that hat he left hanging up in that bar room next to the dining room there. It's still hanging there to this day. And he hung it there. He hung that up there and left it hanging there the day we moved.
Right.
I remember one time April's dad came over and he was wearing a hat. He was wearing like a fedora.
Yeah.
And he hung it up in there and he walked out of the house. He was getting ready to leave and left it hanging there next to my dad. So I was like, April, give your dad his hat back. It freaked her out.
Yeah.
She didn't want her dad leaving. She didn't want her dad leaving his hat hanging next to my dad's. We were afraid it might invoke.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Fortunately, we gave it back to him.
Right.
Yeah, you never know that stuff.
Yeah. I think you had some stories about Sam, didn't you? What kind of maybe coming back? I don't know if it was running around holidays, but yeah, your cousin.
Not really any around the holidays so much. He came to me in that dream not long after he passed, or about, I'd say almost a year after he passed, and hugged me. And he told me I couldn't come over and be with him until my work on Earth was done.
Wow.
And then yeah, that was the most directly I've experienced him. And for a little while after he died, about a month and a half or so, I felt his presence over me so heavy everywhere that it felt like I could turn around or open my eyes when I were closed and he would be there.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of what I think might be signs from him as over the years.